Hey, Nelson, alcoholic addict. That is not my real name. That is my Hollywood stage name that I use. Just kidding. I live in Connecticut. It's a pen name that I use for my newsletter. One of the biggest differences between me when I was drinking and me when I'm sober is how serious I take appointments. I'm not just talking about doctor's appointments. I mean, like 12-step meetings, work meetings, get-togethers at your house, get-togethers at my house, the start times of movies, all of it. I take it serious. If I say I'm going to meet you somewhere at 6 p.m., I make damn sure that I am there at 6 p.m. or a little before. And that is not how, that's not how I was when I was active. I was a sloppy mess with just about everything when I was in active addiction. Like, it didn't matter. I was a mess. But one of my most insulting behaviors was telling you I'd meet you for lunch at 1 p.m., and then I show up at 1:31 p.m., and I used to think, like, hey, well, if I say 1, and then I get there at a time that has a number 1 at the front of it, like, that's close enough, like plus or minus 59 minutes, that's fine, right? Listen, I don't want to blow it out of proportion. I think it was definitely worse that I was driving around with my kids after eating 30 Vicodin and that I might have stolen those 30 Vicodin from your medicine cabinet. Like, those are worse behaviors than being 8 minutes late. But the time thing has become really important to me because it is a blatant example of selfishness, in my opinion. And it's one that can be a really good litmus test on my sobriety now. Why? Because oftentimes people let it slide, or they do it themselves. It's not a death penalty crime, right? But those character defects that make me wonder, hey, what's the big deal? Those feel like the kind of little slips that could begin a slide toward a big slip. And I know that probably seems like I'm being overly dramatic, and I might be. Perhaps I am. But I think when I tell you that I'll be at your house at 5:30, I made you a promise. Like, it's a commitment. And keeping commitments is an important principle in my program, in all of my affairs. I'm really proud of the progress I made, and I think my friends and family would say that they noticed it and that it matters to them now. When I make a time commitment to them, they can trust that I'll be there, But you may still be asking, what's the big deal if I leave my house at 5:27 p.m. and I get to your house at 5:39 p.m. It's 9 minutes, big deal, right? And that's a fair question. Like, what's the big deal? And I don't want to take myself too seriously, but what is actually happening for me is that I made this commitment to you, and then I shrugged my shoulders about it, and I watched sports right up until the buzzer, and then I left my house at the last minute because you'll get over it. That's what I'm thinking. You'll get over it. It's not something I want to do a lot of because I know where that path could lead. And pretty soon, where it leads is pretty soon I leave at 5:29 p.m. and I get to your house late and you ask why. And I immediately just blurt out, oh, there was an accident on the way. Now I'm making up stuff to cover my ass. I don't want to be doing that. I can't do that. I just can't. Plus, I think it's really unfair to you, I think when I do stuff like I just described, deep down, I'm saying to myself, it's just so-and-so, they'll get over it. Again, not something I want to be doing a lot of. Now, let me go back to the headline on this newsletter entry, which is, time is precious, but calm the fuck down. Let me talk about the calm down part of this. I noticed me taking time a little too seriously. Like, on family trips, my wife and I talked the night before about how we're going to pack up the night before and try to leave at about 10 a.m. And then it's 10:03 a.m. and I look like a vampire who needs to drain the blood out of somebody's neck as soon as possible. I'm just like on a rampage. And that's when I find stuff coming out sideways. This happened a few weeks ago, this exact scenario. We were packing up to drive to Pennsylvania to see some family. It was a 4-hour drive, and we were a few minutes late getting on the road, maybe 15, 20 minutes, something like that. But we weren't going to a wedding or a funeral that started at a specific time. The launch time was something that we made up the night before. It was like a goal. It was an aspiration. It wasn't an invitation, you know? And yet I was treating it like the takeoff time for a private jet that I already paid for. You know, they're going to leave without us. It's just not true. So that's where my commitment to following through on commitments got a little out of control. I found myself leaning on my wife and kids pretty hard. I was like, my voice, I was just aggravated, and my tone sucked. I had a heaping helping of sighs and muttering under my breath, and that's just not cool. It's just not cool at all. My whole principle of being on time is great, but who cares if I'm on time because I was an enormous asshole? Like, get some perspective, dude. One thing that I found helpful is to go in the bathroom down the home stretch of loading up the gang. You know, right about when it becomes obvious we're not going to meet our specific goal. And I say, I'll go in, I'll say a quick prayer. It takes 15 seconds. And, you know, sometimes it's along the lines of, God, please walk with me right now. Please help me to remember it's the people I'm traveling with that matter, not when we pull out of the driveway. Please help me to be calm and patient, calm and patient, calm and patient. I say it over and over again because I don't want to forget. And I say amen. And I walk out of the bathroom and I scream, hurry the fuck up or I'm getting a new family. I'm just kidding. The prayer usually puts me in a 10% better place. And then I try to just buckle in and enjoy the ride. I'll keep trying. Thanks for letting me share.